And now, from deep in the heart of Texas, LifeTalk. Here's your host, Mark Crutcher.
Hello, welcome to LifeTalk for February 2010. I'm Mark Crutcher, here again with the usual suspects, Cherie Johnson, Troy Newman, and Johnny Hunter. Normally, as you know, we go to the Alan Ackles with the news at this point. But unfortunately, Alan called yesterday and has bronchitis, so he's not going to be with us today, but we're still going to be able to bring you a lot of information that he would have. First off, we had a real interesting thing here, another good news. The Mahoning Women's Center in Youngstown, Ohio has closed. The abortion mill there has been in business for 33 years. So another death camp has closed, and this trend continues, Troy, as you and I have.
Yep. Another one bites the dust.
Do we know the reason for its closing? Was it taxes?
You'll never find the reason. They say that they're just retiring, getting older and so forth. But, I mean, how many businesses just retire if the business is viable?
Actually, I've got the inside skinny, but we can't release the information just yet.
But anyway, there's the little picture of the sign they put up. Just a little hand-drawn sign. It's closing January 12th, 2010, and they put the word permanently. So obviously,
Amen.
So another death camp bites the dust. Of course, one reason these people, you know, you're asking what's the reasons these people are closing, is they're not able to hire employees. We've talked about that many times here, that they can't get people to go to work in these places. And the ones they can are always the scum and the washouts and the losers of medicine. A good example of this is this abortionist Andrew Rutland in California recently killed a 30-year-old woman upon whom he was doing an abortion. And he had a long history of malpractice problems. And obviously, if you were to trace this out, if you were to find the behind-the-scenes story, what you'd know is that this guy couldn't go to work anywhere else. Right. So he goes to work in an abortion clinic. The state allows him to do so. The abortion lobby knows that he's a quack, but they hire him anyway. And he winds up killing a woman. But
didn't I hear on CNN the scuttlebutt about it, that now cows are out defending the woman that died, and they want to defend her and support her, but I hadn't heard that.
Well, Rutland was supposed to be doing operations under supervision of another physician. Right. And we caught him red-handed operating this little seedy abortion clinic in San Ysidro by himself, and that's what started the whole disciplinary process.
Seedy abortion clinic, like there's another kind?
Exactly. Like the honest truth.
We're also seeing some more stories. You know, we cover this stuff every month, and it's almost like a broken record every month, the amount of times you see abortion being used to cover up pedophilia, and as we did with the Child Predator campaign, we discovered that the National Abortion Federation and Planned Parenthood facilities are running a nationwide pedophile protection racket. In North Carolina, Johnny, you're part of the country. A guy named Edward Walter Smith, 66 years old, been convicted. He started raping his adopted daughter when she was 11 years old. Got her pregnant when she was 16, took her for an abortion. No record of the abortion clinic reporting anything. None of the mandatory reporting going on. So they did an abortion on this 16-year-old girl and returned to him. He continued to rape her for another 4 years until she finally got to be 20 years old and left home and revealed it to somebody. Now he's gone to prison. And
that's why when these people talk about, well, what about in cases of rape and incest?
This is a good example.
What in the world do you want to have something like that in the incestuous relationship? That thing needs to be exposed, and that person,
Well, let me tell you the other part of this thing, Johnny. The abortion clinic where this girl was taken and they didn't do the reporting, the people that run that abortion clinic ought to be going to prison right alongside this guy. Put them in the same cell for the same length of time.
They really should.
They are as responsible for the rape of this child as he is.
Yep.
Exactly.
Well, we're at throw the district attorney and the local police chief.
Yep. And the people that just ignore this. This is probably, in my view, the most corrupt national tragedy that's going on in America today is this pedophile protection racket that the abortion lobby is running, and this is a perfect example. And by the way, this is happening, as we said here, this is happening all over the United States today, and most of them will never get caught. This is just the rare one that got caught. But I've heard nothing in the media about the authorities going after this abortion clinic. Nothing, and I promise you they won't. And if they tried to, attorneys for the abortion lobby would flood into North Carolina and defend the abortionists.
Well, that's what happened in Kansas.
Right.
The Attorney General Phil Klein went after the abortion clinics on this very thing, and the Center for Reproductive Rights flew in from New York and had a huge trial. And of course, the end result was Mr. Klein was drummed out of the state.
Another thing that we continually report on, of course, is all the pro-choice violence that goes on. These men killing women and beating women up, and
that are pregnant
and won't refuse to abort. And so they, War Acres, Oklahoma, Kobe Ryan Townsend beat and kicked his girlfriend in an attempt to kill her and the baby because she refused to have an abortion. And fortunately, the young lady didn't die, but the baby did. The child that she wanted was killed by this guy because she refused to have an abortion.
And is he going to prison?
Apparently, he's been indicted. So.
But if she went to a clinic, nobody'd be in prison.
But she didn't, but he was the pro-choice guy, and we got to get rid of this baby, and she refused.
So instead of paying child support, now he's behind bars.
Well, we got another one, a guy just saying almost that very thing. A 19-year-old guy in Philadelphia this time. He tried to get his girlfriend to have an abortion. She wouldn't. She eventually did give birth to the baby. So he shot and killed her and the baby, 13-week-old baby. And he said he just, he tried to get her to have an abortion because he didn't know how he was going to tell his parents that he got this girl pregnant. So now he's going to have to tell his parents,
I'm going to death row.
I'm going to death row. I killed her, I shot her, and I shot a 13-year-old baby. But at least he's a consistent pro-choicer.
Yeah.
He doesn't see any difference between a 13-week-old baby
and a 13-week in the womb, yeah.
Yeah, so it's the same exact phenomenon here. Another situation almost identical in Seattle, a guy named Daniel Hicks, 29. No, I'm sorry, he's the one that killed his 13-week-old daughter. He said that he wanted his girlfriend, Morgan, he killed her and the 13-week-old baby. He wanted her to have an abortion because he was, quote, she was just trying to trap him with the pregnancy, unquote. How many times do we hear that kind of nonsense? He's trapped now, so fortunately.
There's some sorry men out there, and the abortion industry loves sorry men.
Yeah.
Hey, I've said it a million times. Sexually predatory males are the backbone of the abortion lobby. Without sexually predatory and sexually irresponsible men, the abortion lobby would collapse tomorrow. It's over. And they know it.
And the loudmouth pro-abortion women stand behind the men. And
right.
but they act like they're standing behind the women.
And they'll sell these women sell them down the river constantly. Another situation, this was in Grand Junction, Colorado. A guy named Jared Alstrom, his girlfriend refused to have an abortion. So he didn't beat her up or anything, didn't shoot her. What he did is, apparently he's been charged with it anyway, slipping abortion drugs into things she was eating, or drinking. She did miscarry, and they discovered that he had been doing this, and so now he's under indictment.
For what?
Yeah.
Practicing medicine without a license?
Yeah.
Well, basically what they're going to charge him with is unlawful termination of a pregnancy. That's all they can charge him with. That's the point that our culture has come to. Anyway,
you need a license.
Meanwhile, I found this pretty interesting.
It gets more
Nancy
interesting.
Pelosi defends her pro-abortion position.
She's Catholic, though.
That she's defending that against her Catholic faith, saying that she should, that her position should be the Catholic position, that women have free will. Well, if you're going to argue that abortion is a matter of free will, then what about rape? Why do we have laws against anything? As a matter of fact, why don't we just say everybody...
Drunk driving?
Whatever.
I don't like you, I might shoot you tomorrow.
Right, you might. So everybody has free will to do whatever they want to do.
Is Nancy Pelosi now a theologian?
Apparently
really,
so.
Because if she's going to argue the doctrine of free will, I would say she needs to crack open her Bible and just at least peek at it.
Right. Mm-hmm. But let me tell you, there's two things that are very important in these stories that we've got about this that came out. And, of course, she was telling this to Eleanor Clift at Newsweek magazine, and Eleanor Clift is as rabidly...
She's just sucking it up with a straw.
...with as pro-abort as you'll ever see. So she didn't challenge her on any of this stuff. But here's something that goes along with something we've talked about here before. She talks about in her role as a Catholic, she has these responsibilities. And then as her role as a public servant, she has these. And, I've said many times, you've heard me say this, when these politicians say things like this, what they're saying is that when my political career conflicts with my religious beliefs, I'll sell God down the river and I'll in favor of my political beliefs. this is exactly what she said. She says, they are advocates, I'm talking about the Catholic Church, and I am a public official, and I have a different responsibility. Well, let me tell you something. If you're going to run for public office, and you're going to believe, and you're going to say that when the time comes that my personal religious faith conflicts with my job, I'm going to choose my job, then give up your faith right then, which is what she's done. I mean, this woman is excommunicated whether she agrees with it or not. That's what's happened.
But is there really any difference between her and the pastor that says exactly the same thing?
Oh, none.
Think about it. These pastors say that when their religious belief conflicts with what the will of the government is, they sell God down the river every single time.
Right.
And they are silent consistently on the issue of child killing where God demands them to say something. At least Nancy Pelosi is consistent in her beliefs. She's got the strength and the integrity, although flawed, to say what she believes.
Well, you touch on something that's very interesting here. Pelosi's bishop, San Francisco Archbishop George Niederauer, met with Pelosi in February. And the exchange they had was described even by Pelosi as very cordial. That's the problem.
Yeah.
This should have been confrontational, not cordial.
Yes. Right.
You should be confronting this person. You shouldn't be sitting there and saying, oh, we just have these kind of philosophical disagreements.
You know, Pelosi's one of the first people to say, keep religion out of politics.
Right.
Hey, Pelosi, why don't you keep politics and the government out of our religion?
Right. Let's go on here. We've got another story coming out of California. This California Catholic Daily did a really neat investigation. Yeah. The California Catholic Daily did a really neat investigation here because Planned Parenthood there, as they are all over the country, is raising a ruckus about